Hi and welcome back to the lab. Today I have here on the bench a really beauty oldtimer. So that is a standard C-55D, and it is a unique unit. So try to find this radio elsewhere on the world and you will see that it is almost impossible to get one of these standard radios. So therefore, it is really nice to have this radio here. I mean, we have quite a lot of documentation, but mostly Japanese. But that all helps a little bit. I have not everything. So, for instance, the 10-meter module is not available, and the problem is we have a fault here on the 10-meter unit. So, you know, that is 70 centimeter, 2 meter, and then you can decide if you want to have HFF model or module or the 10-meter module. Here we have one radio with a 10-meter module, which makes some trouble on transceive and receive. So that is what we need to see. Then we have the issue that we do not get any spare parts any longer. I mean, we have here worn out display segments, so that is a kind of difficult. So maybe if you know where parts for this radios are still present, then let us know, because that would be really helpful to get this old beauty back to life. So now let's see what we can do. Look, and here we have our beauties. Well, I've put this both here on the bench because to compare the segments. So we have day segments, and you can see that we have a clock running here, right? Well, the problem is the clock is running all the time, and the wear and tear is very heavy here with this VFD segment. So let's see what we have. This unit here is what we need to fix. This one is working, no problem, and this one does not have a third unit module inside, whereby this unit here does have the 10-meter module, right? And what you can already see is that the wear and tear is worse here with the lower unit. This here might be somewhat okay, but what you can clearly see is that here our third segment is already worn out as well. Maybe not as much as that here, because here you can now see the only segment which works is one here in the middle, more or less, and that is here. Is it our dot, or maybe there is another one? It is our dot, because the dot is in the middle, and if I switch it here on, so we do not need the dots in the middle, so that is the reason why our, in this case, 3 from 92 300 is the best of all. So that is clearly worn out, and really it would be fine if we could find somewhere on the world modules, VFD segments for this radio, so that would make them look like new. Well, if you have, let us know, but let's start to go here into our repair. I just wanted to show you the difference and what it is, the problem with VFD displays. I mean, it is exactly the same what we have here with my Keithley or the Etchling. I mean, this displays are still fine, but it is VFD, and that is always a problem. Very special for this radios was that you have a remote control where you really can operate the whole radio. So you can also use it as a microphone, and we have a PTT, and well, so we can control our volume here on the unit when we switch it on, I believe. So that is very nice, and I have a second one as well where we have the problem that you can see the batteries are, yeah, so I have to clean it, and we only can hope that it will work afterwards, because acid very often destroys, you know, the PCB. So that is not really nice, but one problem after the other. Not sure if you can really see it. So we have here our volume control for the 10-meter band, and the 10-meter band is set to main. And now when we start here tuning the volume, you can see that it is moving. Not sure if now let me go closer to it, and then you can see it here. Let's go. So you really can see that it is turning. So there are little motors inside, which makes it possible to really move the pots by using our remote control. So as I said, that is really a beauty. Okay, but now let's come to the faults. So 2 meter and 70 meter is running, no problem, but 10 meter is making some trouble. So we have both no receive and a reduced TX, as I can read on the fault description. So therefore, let's see what we have, and the radio is already connected to my tester, and it is set to you cannot read it most likely. So you see we have the S meter, which is telling us that we are receiving something, but even when I am turning here my volume, nothing happens, right? So when I turn here the 70 centimeter, you hear the static, and the same with you know, our 2 meter, but nothing. I mean, it is connected to the tester, but there is nothing. Let's go over to the tester and let's see what we can find. And what you can see is it is not entirely true what I said, because we obviously have here audio, and when I turn here you hear that our 1 kilotone test tone is present, but on the other hand it is only 8.3 millivolt, which is of course much too low. And when I'm turning the volume pot here at the radio, and I'm turning in the moment, you see nothing is changing. So definitely we have a problem. And now, okay, let's test if it is really coming from the radio, what we are seeing and hearing here. So let me simply switch off here our signal, so we can switch it off. Aha! And you see, now we have static, but the static, as you can see, is also almost 8 millivolt. So let me switch it back in, and you see, yes, something is there, but it is so low that we cannot hear it really on the radio. Something is really a problem. So you can see here our pot while I'm turning it, and you can hear that, and maybe you can also see that there is no change here. So that means it is impossible to get more audio out of it. So let me pull here my connector, my audio connector, and well, maybe a little bit, maybe it is a little bit, and I don't believe that is the speaker, because we can pick here a little bit, but it is so low. Okay, so we need to check what it is, and apart from that, something is wrong with transmit. So let me check. Okay, it is going into transmit, and okay, so I'm seeing, oh, it is really late that it is switching. So have a look when we go over, and now let's see. Okay, so you see it really takes time until it is finally switching to transmit, but then it is delivering the specified output power. Let me check if I can reduce it. So that should be now middle. Okay, so it really takes long. 10 watt, so that is fine. Let me check if we can go to low. Okay, so now is it low? The display is so dark, unfortunately. So let me say, yeah, you see it really takes time. 5 watt. So that means that our amplifier is obviously working, but it really takes very, very long until it is switching. Whereby it is here directly switching to TX, so there is no delay. So the delay is really only when we put it to the tester and expect our output power. Okay, so let's test if it is only my Rode and Schwarz which is switching so slowly. Well, good possibility to check how the SWM 400T is working. So let's do exactly the same. Okay, so that is quite fast, maybe, but now my tester is switching as it takes a while on my communication tester, but here, it looks like that it is very fast. Interesting is we are reading here 4.5 watt maybe, 4.5 watt, and at the same time I have the rotor and Schwarz up there connected, and look here, that guy is testing for 4.8 watt as well as here the tester 4.8, and he is testing for 4.8 as well. Hope you can read it, 4.8, whereby this guy here 4.5. So that means it is not really accurate in the first test, so that's not a good sign. Anyways, we are not testing the instrument, we are working here on our standard. Okay, so let's crack open the radio and let's see what's going on. Okay, so we made already a little progress. So as you can see, that is our 28 megahertz module, and I've taken it out in order to look inside to see if we can see something obvious, and then we can go ahead. Okay, so I have opened the lid, as you can see, and this portion here of our 10 meter module is at least the demodulator, so the detector. Then we have here the filters, as you can see, and this here is the preamplifier, and here we have the amplifier. So that is a special hybrid IC, if you like, from standard. So and that is more or less a common one, so the power amplifier. Okay, now it is important that we can test. Unfortunately, we need to put it this way here back into our unit, but we know that our audio portion is down here in this area, and therefore we can start testing. So we can look for the signal which should get out of our preamplifier and in of course as well, and we can check our final audio final stage in order to understand what is really going on here. Okay, so what I already said is that the documentation I have is not the best ever, but it helps a little bit. And what we see here, so that is normally the 2 meter module, but the audio section of the module is more or less similar. So what we can say is that we have here our preamplifier, audio preamplifier, and we get here in pin 1 in from our detector, right? So the demodulated signal at least, and on 7 we got out, and when we follow the output, so we find here let me check. We find here a pin on our connector, and that is called volume hot. So that means that is, if you like, the input to our potentiometer, which we have on front here on our radio, and we have seen when we turn it we see nothing. So that means we can test the input, and then of course we have here an audio control or volume control, and that of course is the regulated signal from our volume pot to our amplifier, because that here is our amplifier, and it comes here over the buffer transistor and then gets finally amplified here in the final stage, and of course that is going out to our speaker or to the jacks for our external speaker, or how we have connected here to our radio communication service tester, right? So what we now can check is first if we get our signal out to the pot, and then do we get it back from our potentiometer. And we can of course check here the input of our audio amplifier. Of course we can check our voltages for the amplifier and the preamplifier, of course, and that will then give us most likely a very good idea what's really going on here. Okay, and with a little searching I found here on our connector and as well on our amplifier preamplifier, so that is important now, on our preamplifier the input and the output, and I found the signal here on the connector, which, as we discussed, is going down to our potentiometer, right? Okay, so I'm now on our output pin of our preamplifier, and as already discussed, of course something must be somewhere, because we have our 8.4 millivolt on our communication tester, right? So that means somewhere must be something, and therefore I'm down at the output. And now let us go over to our scope, and you see that here is what it is coming out of our preamplifier IC, the hybrid we have discussed already. So that are 272 millivolt output, which then goes, let me go back here, to pin 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that is pin, is it pin 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that must be pin 5, oops, that must be pin 5, okay, and now that is always tricky. And now let me go back here to the scope, and you see, yes, there we have our signal at the pin which is going to our volume control. And of course we can go now on the pin where the signal should be attenuated, come back to our PCB here, and that is 1, 2, 3, so that is pin 4. So that is where we should see the signal, our 274 millivolt attenuated by our volume pot, right? So, and that is here, or better, there is nothing. And well, maybe a problem with our pot here. So that is our audio, and let's see when we turn it. So let me simply we put it to 10, so that is maximum, okay? And now see that there is nothing coming back from our potentiometer. And well, okay, so that is already telling something. And of course we need to go along this idea, and we have to look for the missing signal, right? Okay, so I've prepared my audio generator to 1 kilohertz and 8 milliwatt volt RMS output, and I just want to check if the audio amplifier here in our radio is working, because that eliminates a potential problem. Even I don't believe it, since we have seen that nothing is coming back from our pot. Alright, and from the service diagram I know that pin 1 is our input to the audio final amplifier. So let me see if I feed now that signal down there. Ah, okay. So let me go over to our tester. Alright, so again, look here. So we have our 8.1 millivolt, which we read here at the input, and you see that we have a good sine and a good synod as well. So now you see the 8.2, which is very, very low. So now let me put the signal from my audio generator to our amplifier, audio amplifier chip, as we have done it before. Whoa, okay, one moment. I mean, yes, you already hear it, that it became louder and the automatic audio control pulled it down. But what you see here, we have 0.74 of a volt. I'm going back, so then you see my 8.3 once again, and look here to our output. Yeah, 0.74 of a volt, and that is telling us that our audio amplifier is fully functional here in our radio. Okay, you see I've put the radio right up, and I've taken away here our front panel in order to get to the PCB behind. And when we go closer, so well, you see this here is our audio pot, okay, without any reaction. And you know, this here is the wiring towards our potentiometer, and I just want to know if we get our signal from our preamplifier down here to this connection, right? That is now our next step to go. Okay, so let me see if I can get here to the pot. Yes, and I can. Let me go over to the scope, and you see 273, so it is really coming over, so the quality is not that good, but you see that we get here at that pin our signal. And of course, if we have the incoming signal, we are now interested if we get an output as well. So let me go down here, so that is the middle one, which should be the output. So that is pink, is that? Okay, so that is pink. Let me go to the pink wire. Let me turn. Okay, can we see it? Let me turn here the pot to fully clockwise, and let's go back to our scope. And you see, obviously, there is nothing coming back here from our pot. Wow. Okay, so that means we really need to take here everything apart. But let's do a final test. So let me connect here our audio generator once again. Okay, I have to switch it on. Now it is on, and I have of course my 1 kilohertz audio signal. And now let me see, that is a little bit tricky here around the camera. But you have certainly heard that we was bursting the signal here. Yeah, absolutely. So you can definitely hear that we have now here a higher audio. So that means that both ways, from our amplifier and back to the final amplifier, is working. So what we see as well, we have no signal here from the pot, so we need to take it apart. Okay, so as you can see, I've taken out here our potentiometer board. So that is what we have here lying on the bench. Well, that was fun, believe me, that was fun. Anyways, so this one here, where we had only the smaller connector, was the one which was or is responsible for our 10 meter band, controlling our audio level. Right. Therefore, we have here our squelch, and you can see the squelch is always here with a plastic shaft, and our level controls are metal, aluminum or whatever shaft. So what you can see else, we have 6 connectors instead of 3. So looks like that is originally a stereo pot, I don't know. But what we can say, and that is something you should be able to see here. So this side here and that connector or pin is all connected together to this plane here, but it is not ground. However, we have our 2 pins which go over finally to our connector, which is that one. Okay, and that is where we test it. And here on the white one, the lower white one, we had our signal coming from the preamplifier, but we did not see nothing going out here on the other side. Okay, that means between this both pins we should read a resistance of our pot, and therefore let us test between these both pins. I hope we all can see everything, so maybe the meter is reflecting a little bit. It is difficult, believe me. Alright, so I hope we can see now what we need. Okay, so let me go down to this both contacts, and well, what we see is an overflow, so nothing at all. When I now try to turn here my pot, you see absolutely nothing is happening, and that of course explains why we did not see the signal going back to our audio amplifier board, right? If we compare this pot with the other side here, so that one here was our 145, so our 2 megahertz pot, and let us do here exactly the same. I take the both contacts and you directly see that we have a reading, and that is 14 kilo ohm. Now let me turn it, and you see I'm easily able to adjust it. So that is working fine, and that is why simply it is working. But this one here is not. Okay, to get a better idea what's going on here with our pot, so you see I have taken it out. And I've connected the both pins which are connected original in our radio. And when I now go here over to our meter, and I am, let me see if I can get it in picture here a little bit. And when I now, you see, when I now turning here the pot, so the resistor is infinity, so nothing is happening. But I have seen when I use a second part here of our pot, which is not needed. It is this one, right? Let me check, is it this one? I believe yes. So when I use the second portion of our pot, so you see I'm able to use it up to 20k as it is indicated on our pot. So you see that one is running quite nice, but the other one is totally dead. The problem is there is almost no way to get the contact swapped over. Well, let me try to do some oxide here to the pot. Even I don't know, or I don't believe that it is really working, and even it is working, you know, that is not a final solution. But maybe let's see if we have any reaction here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, is that something? It is a little bit, but not really. So maybe it is totally, no, it is mega ohm. It is mega ohm. It is, as you can see, it has become a little bit better, but look, it is mega ohm and not kilo ohm. So no, that is not, definitely not the solution. Okay, so however, we know that we have one bad side and we have one good side of our pot. It is hardly possible to get a new one, especially because of here our motor and yeah, size and design and whatever. So that means a good one, a bad one. So let's try to use our bad, let's try to use our good pot, and that means we need to patch the good side to the other side in order to get the functionality. And yeah, so there is nothing finally we can damage as it is already damaged, and maybe we can get it working with some patching. So let's go on. Alright, so what we here see is that I have now connected wires to the two pins of our good portion, and now let's try to get it all back into or on our PCB, and then let's patch it. Right, so I've connected here the good part to the bad, the good part to the bad part, and I've connected here the probes where the signal is getting in, and that means we are testing, of course, on resistor, and yeah, as you can see, we can move here the resistor back and forth, and hopefully that now will help to use our pot here. Alright, as you can see, I've put back here our potentiometer PCB to the main front panel board, and now let's check if it is working or not. So let me switch in. Ooh. Nothing is happening. Hang on a second. Okay. I should switch in my power supply, then it might working. Let's see. Okay. It is no signal connected, but we should hear our static. So let's start here. So that is 2 meter. Alright. 70 centimeter. Alright. And now let's see. Hey! Yes, 10 meter is back. So our modification and the wire patching, what I've shown you, is working. So that is great news. By the way, once again, if anyone in the world does have access to this displays, then please let us know. We urgently looking for displays for this type of radio. Okay, so then let's go ahead and let's check that we can get it back together, and then this radio should already be working on all bands. So that means if there is nothing in addition, that radio should be ready. Let's check. Okay, so I have put it a little bit more together. Okay, there is the noise, the tone, then the audio tone in the background, but let us check if our potentiometer, our motor, is working. And maybe you can see it over there. Let me go closer here to our audio, and now let me increase here our volume. Is it working? Okay, so motor is working pretty nice, so that is okay, and of course on manual it is working as well. Okay, and here on the bench, you know, you really recognize how badly worn out here our VFDs are. So that's the reason why we ask if anybody has this spare parts somewhere. So we are highly interested. So that might be enough in a darker check or so. Then this illumination might be fine, but you know, other than that, they are really heavily worn out. Then let us check if it is switching. So you see it is here on mid power, so that means 10 watt. So let's see if it is switching, and yes it is, so it is delivering our 10 watt. So we will go over and check it as well. Okay, so under mid, so we have 10.3 watt, and that is, let me go closer a little bit. So that is corresponding here with our tester as well, but here we can see that it is producing 5 kilohertz deviation, and that is fine as well. So you really see that it is obviously back working. Okay, so you have seen that here our audio level was only 80 millivolt or so. Now we have here 300 millivolt, and you see that we can really increase it over 1.5 volt. So that is here auto regulating. So when you see here best range, and that is because our sine is more or less the same, so it is always adjusting, but you see that we really have a strong audio level back without any problems here. Okay, what is next? So you see we have here our open module, and of course I have to put back here the lid to shield it in the right way, and then yeah, finally we can put it back together. Alright, everything is back together, so that means we are ready with our job here. So 10 meter is back working, and so hope you learned something on those old radios. So sometimes you really have to modify things until they work, since you do not really easily get parts. And so it is with our displays, where we really hope that someone in the world does have replacements. Okay, so that's it for the day. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.